Good evening.
Hello.
Hey guys, it's so good to see everybody here. Tonight you will see as we begin the first steps toward empower, employ, and liberate. And we're going to do this in such a way in which you will be able to see how everything that we are trying to do to bring forth diversity, to bring forth employment, and most of all, to stop the pipeline to jail. As you know, the pipeline to jail is one of the things that is crippling our youth. And we want to be able to say, do something different, do something that will not only help them, but will help the whole nation as we develop, employment, and empower others, and provide justice. And how are we going to do that? We're going to do that by establishing relationships, not judging politicians, not even judging religion. But we're going to do that by establishing relationships. It's like each one that come here today is going to be bringing something to the table that help this whole movement go forward. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have everybody to just tell a little bit, introduce yourself, and tell a little bit about your company as we wait for a couple other people to show up. So I'm going to start with Barry, because I just want to thank Barry and Mr. Fletcher. Give them a hand for allowing us to host this. So I should turn it over to Barry. And Barry is able to go ahead and kick it off.
All right, well, first of all, I want to welcome everyone to come out tonight, taking time out of your busy schedule to come see what Liz is all excited about. She's got me really excited, and you're going to find out more about this as the evening goes on. But my name is Barry Charity. I'm actually a serial entrepreneur, but I recently retired from Verizon corporate engineering. I was a communications engineer for Verizon for 37 years, and I also retired from the military after 24 years. My passion in life right now is to give back. So what am I going to give back? I don't have a lot of money, but I have a lot of wisdom, I have a lot of knowledge. And what we want to give back is education. We are here to educate people about finance, about how it works, how it's working against you, and how you can get it to work for you. So my role in what all of this is all about is to educate. Financial literacy is what we do, and financial literacy is all that we do. Okay? So with that, I'll pass it on to the next person. You want to start over here with Mr. Rick?
Oh, sure. Yeah, my name is Ricky Ward.
Can you stand for me?
Oh, sure. Yeah, Ricky Ward. I own Redefine and Barber Beauty Academy, and a couple of the salons and barbershops in the community. Worked as a juvenile correction officer. I understand her vision, her mission, her purpose. It's very powerful. I'm a true believer in our youth. True believer. Been working with children all my adult life. I'm now CTE, Career Technical Education, teacher for the Department of Correction Education. All right? So I work with kids very closely, and I guess she brought me on to help cut some hair, I don't know. But to educate in that area. So it's like you alluded to earlier, everybody have a different role. So I believe that's my role, is to give these guys or young lady a trade. All right? Rick Ward. All right.
My name is Sylvia Flute, and I was a trial attorney for 28 years. So I have a particular understanding of justice from that experience. But when I was actually early in that career, I realized there are two models of justice, vengeance and love. I also recognized immediately that I was doing justice as vengeance for a living. And so, but I didn't have a choice because I had no idea what justice as love might look like. So for 31 years, that's been my endeavor, my search. As I came to understand that better, it was harder to walk into a courtroom, so I simply had to quit in 2003 because it was killing my soul to do what we do in that system. And so since then I've been doing restorative justice, a particular model called unitive justice, which I believe does show a path how we can go from the structures of punitive justice to a system that has no punitive elements, so it is justice as love. My first opportunity to actually implement this was at Armstrong High School. We got a grant, we were in Armstrong for 2 years, and it just happened that a young woman came from Illinois to do her PhD dissertation on our program, so we have peer-reviewed research that shows the success of this program. We do restorative justice circles, but we also teach the difference between a punitive system and what we call unitive justice or justice as love. So what we could offer would be training people who could actually hold circles in Beaumont for the youth so they could resolve their conflicts. Everyone would be empowered to initiate circles so that they're resolved before they escalate to the point of having to go to the principal's office or the police be called or that type of thing. But also to provide training on how do we live into justice as love. You mentioned judgment, getting away from judgment. So it's not about judgment. We look at the structures of each and figure out how to go from one to the other. So instead of relying so much on rules that are written by those at the top and enforced always with punishment, we move towards values. We model values so that people know how to live together no matter what the circumstances are. A rule tells you what not to do. And so when the kids think up new things, you have to make the do not do list, longer and longer. And when you're living out of values, integrity, honesty, trust, that type of thing, you don't need a long list. So that is what I now spend my life doing. Perhaps, that would be something good.
I attended YCI where I studied African American Studies and Sociology. I'm currently studying business right now at Strayer University. So I guess my perspective is I'm a Richmond Community High School graduate, so I've gone to school with Richmond children. Those have always been my peers. So I guess I have a peer perspective, I guess, to this charity. So I've gone to school with many individuals who have actually ended up in prison or actually dead just based upon their actions. But I also have known them personally as individuals. So I guess I have more of a peer perspective as to why some actions are taken or certain routes have been taken in life. For why people end up on the path that they did.
She's a guest, so I just kind of came up. I'll introduce. This is Pastor Jean Strozier, and she's founded a church in Brandywine and turned over her son, and now she works with women that have been through some tough situations. And so we're going to keep it simple tonight because she lives and kind of works in the background a lot. So if you don't mind, we'll kind of let her do that. I'm Eric Samuelson, and Paul Goldman introduced us weeks ago, said you two ought to know each other, and this charity came to my home, to my conference room to chat, and I saw some tremendous qualities of perseverance and dedication. And so that's what I look for. I find that I buy in a little bit to some of what MLK said more than some, and I'm looking for people of character more so than I look for the content of character. I really do have my eyes trained for that, and it means a lot to me. So I saw tremendous deep character, and I said, what can I do to serve? What can I do to help? And I've also got a nonprofit called the Family Restoration Network, and we've, a few years ago, was drawn to the concept of how important fatherhood is in terms of redeeming so many social ills. I find that when fathers are positively involved in the lives of their children, all the social outcomes improve. Whether you're care about poverty, kids staying in school, whether you care about criminal justice, whether you care about national security, whether you name it, there's just all the indicators prove that. So we reached into the jails, Richmond City Jail, Deep Meadow Prison, Puminston Creek Regional Jail, and we created a program that addressed 3 issues: the emotional, financial, and I'll just say the governmental issues that men face when they come out of incarceration. And so it worked. It was met with great success. And then I realized, okay, we've created this to take it to scale, and now we just, there's some people that just, in order, you got to pay the bills. So we trying to learn how to get on bended knee to ask folk for some chips, and that's not always an easy thing, because it's not I don't know, it's just not something everybody sees the value in. And I'm trying to say, let's stop the school to jail pipeline, whatever it is that we want to talk about.
Prison, yeah.
Sorry,
The pipeline to prison.
pipeline to prison, school to prison pipeline, and it's just, at some point you got to say halt. I don't care if you're liberal, conservative, black, white, Asian, Hispanic. This is society we're talking about, okay? And at some point we got to wake up and realize this is vital stuff. So anyway, I'm a business strategist. I got clients in several countries around the world, but I got a lot of free time because of that, and so I'm very dedicated. So I think there's something very powerful here, and whatever I can do to offer some strategic thinking, I know how to talk to CEOs and government officials. Okay, I know how to communicate. I know how they think, and how to phrase things, not in terms of the pain and the problem, but the outcomes. So they're very outcome oriented. We can phrase things in that term rather than any other. It really speaks to them, because it's just the way it is. So that's what I think. That's what pretty much all I need to say. Thank you.
Oh. My name is Eric Wickenheiser. I am a former school teacher, inner city, as well as a former international teacher with over a decade's experience under my belt. As a male teacher who had taught several different subjects, certified in several different subjects, I helped enforce late, and as a result, I became the de facto detention teacher for the schools often. And because my classroom was always set up as a work studio, the students would sometimes come in and actually have to do work. And I found how transformative it was for these young men and women to come into the classroom and actually have to use their hands to repair the thing that they damaged, or to fix somebody else's damage to the school. And it was because of the difficulty of having these students in the classroom, and that I ended up stopping my teaching career, because there comes a point where how many fights can you break up in a day? And I realized that despite the immense efforts of the school system and the parents and the community, some of these students just did not want to be there. And there was a time when these students would be sent off to a military school or to a remote, let's say a ranch school, but those times don't exist anymore. And these students now are just sent into the juvenile system. And then from there, often they get out and no one is there to support them, and they end up back in the prison system or in the prison system. And I guess since I stopped teaching, I have opened my own design build company. And I often hire young men who have gone through the juvenile system. And I've seen that how transformative it is for them to actually build something and to get paid to do it. And they seem to enjoy it. And it seems to be really beneficial to them when they can get praised for their work, get paid for their work, and see that their work is valued by the community. And there's a way that they can have an impact on their world other than just through vandalizing, violence, or disruptive behavior. That someone can recognize them for something other than the aggression that they put out. And they can get rewarded for that financially. That has really been, to witness that to say this young, disruptive young man, all of a sudden, 6 months later, is making $25 an hour or 30 as a tradesman assistant, knowing that in 2 years of extra work, they can be up to $40 an hour. And then they can buy what they want instead of stealing what they want. And it's very transformative for them. And so I'm here to lend my guidance and support as someone who has taught difficult students, who's worked with difficult young people, and has seen the transformation in both environments.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is LaQuetta Massey. Actually, I didn't know why I was going to this meeting tonight. I was asked to come. I'm a licensed cosmetology by trade and profession. However, I advocate for children and parents, and if teachers need be in the public school system, I do it for free. I have a son with special needs, several special needs, and through me advocating for my son, it enabled me to better understand those things that's needed for other children and students. And so I have a good success rate. I'm not liked by the public school system, and that's okay. But however, I am not just results driven, I'm solution driven. And so a lot of what now I'm hearing in the setting, because I didn't know exactly why I was here, a lot of this, and I do understand, because my clientele is extremely diverse, from judges to school teachers to politicians, and so I hear the gamut of everything, and I experience pretty much on all levels exactly the things that's being expressed here. So I don't know, I'll be able to give and offer some things. I've been in this now heavily for about 6 years. I've gotten quite a few students privately placed because this public school system continues to want to use an education system that's called Title I that doesn't work for disadvantaged people or children. It's scientifically proven. We are giving senses for a reason: the eyes, the ears, the touch, the taste, and the sound. And those things are sometimes things that we need to use to learn, just like what you said. So if a child early on is not given the opportunity to be able to understand how they learn, and they're just forced to learn in one way, then what happens is you get aggression, you get frustration. And then if you're in a disadvantaged household, then that on top of that. And so that's what the system is being filled up with, those children and those youth. My son, I figure, and I always tell him, I said, I apologize for it taking so long, but you are a sacrificial lamb. Because out of this, I'm in the process now of litigation. And so out of whatever comes out of that, we're looking into developing an educational center so that we can help those children early on, because it's earlier age 2. You can detect with certain tests whether a child is more prone to certain lacking skills. And so that's a lot of what you see on top of being from a disadvantaged household, if we talk about the inner city youth. Diet is huge for me. I've seen people lives transformed just by the change of your diet. So if you have a poor diet, that's the foundation even before you even get into a school setting. And so we're talking about something as far as depression, anxiety, if you have allergies, if you haven't been tested, that aggression that you see may just be a common food allergy. So there's a lot of things that we really need to do to tackle what I'm hearing here today. And that pipeline in prison is something that I've been aggressively trying to fight, and I'm now at a place where I'm training other people to understand what I have come to understand. Now I'm still in the battle, and I'm still learning things every day, because every day, politically, things change. And so, I don't know, I'm here to be of assistance in any which way, fashion, form that I can be, and hopefully that I can be used to help enlighten people and thoughts, and so we can kind of collaboratively come together and be solution driven, because any action presents a result. You know, I always hear, I'm results driven. So well, what does that mean? Any action produces a result. We need to be solution driven. We need to help each other understand the diversities and different issues that these children are having from the very beginning, and we need to tackle it from that level. So, I don't know. I'm here, I'm present.
My name is Fletcher Rick. I'm a former business owner here in Richmond. I was born in Tucson, Arizona, a very, very poor neighborhood. My father killed himself when I was 16. I lived a very poor life for a long time until I realized that money only works for those that work for the money, right? So I started saving up my money to buy my first business. I've retired since at the age of 50, turned over my businesses to my kids now who run the companies. One of the things I realized is that I still got a little bit to give back, you know, and that's showing other individuals how to do for themselves. Because quite frankly, in this world, a lot of people, they go in one direction because a lot of free things, a lot of things that are given to you. Knowledge ain't given to you. Hard work and ethics ain't given to you. It's stuff that you gotta earn. And so it doesn't matter where you come from, what you do. I'm here to show people that anybody is capable of achieving success if they learn to believe in themselves. And that's the one key, is just learning to believe in yourself. So my name is Fletcher Rick, and I'm just here to listen and help out any way I can.
Thank you. As I go through the slide, and you will be able to tap into what we are developing, what we've already developed, where we are now, and where we will go forth in the future. So our whole goal, as we say, is to empower, inform, and to liberate. Now,
Third button down.
Third button down, okay. All right. Ooh, who we are. First of all, in history. I started this nonprofit organization in the early 90s. And I started because I was a single mother, raising 2 sons. And I didn't want them to get caught in that pipeline to jail. I had just became unemployed. I had no job at the time, and I really didn't know what I was going to do. But through a lot of prayer, God gave me a solution. He had me to write a proposal. And when I wrote that proposal, I submitted to the former Governor George Allen. And Governor George Allen gave me a grant for $69,000 for job training. That was in 1995. And it's something because it was presented, and we did that program in 1995 in the old Tall Hammers building. That's where we started that program. And it's something because, as he was saying earlier, Richmond 34, they had been arrested 35 years earlier because they could not eat in the old Tall Hammers building. We saw how there was a shift because what it was a need. Our children need help. And I believe that it was God that really touched the former Governor George Allen's heart to give it to him. That's the history. That's how we got started. Who we are? I worked as with Youth Outreach Service as a nonprofit for until 2010. 2010, I went back to school at George Mason University, and I developed a curriculum, and it was called Transforming the juvenile offenders into a social entrepreneur. And in doing that, we created what you call the Youth Corporation, Inc. Youth Corporation, Inc. is a for-profit, and its primary mission is to promote social influence by fostering an environment of education, stewardship, and entrepreneurship. That's who we are. Our focus is to build wealth, position, and change in low-income and high-crime areas, using communities, businesses, universities, and state resources, and is to develop jobs for those who need jobs, that among the disadvantaged individuals. Jobs that we specialize in are computer technology, real estate development, construction, cybersecurity, television production, book printing, finances, small business incubators, and advertising. As you can see, some of you belongs in that category, and some of them is who we still need to reach out to. Our overview. One thing about you, as I told you earlier, Youth Corporation, Inc., we get done what we need to accomplish through relationships. We go in and we make connections. We make connections with people, businesses like you, and with universities, with the school. By going to George Mason University, I learned how to be a social entrepreneur and to actually bring the community together to address the social issues, and that is using college students to do it. And using college students, and that way we are like providing mental health services. We look for college students who major in criminology, psychology, sociology. And in that way, they use their music and they use therapeutic training in which we reach out to the students that you've been talking about, the students who need that help. It's a creative way in which they become very much involved. And through it, we create TV shows, radio shows. They feel very good about this. How many young people you know that can actually say, I have did a radio show when they're just 16, 17 years old? Not many disadvantaged youth does. Not many disadvantaged youth can say that. But those are the youth that we're talking. And I believe we have Rick here who can testimony that those are the youth that we use and have developed their own TV shows. Even in the early 90s, they was developing their own TV show. They had the opportunity to meet Governor George Allen, but also Governor Wilder. He up here. In fact, he named it Liz and the Kids. We sort of like forced him to be able to be video on that show. You better get away. I said, got the camera running, you better talk. And that's the way we got started, and bringing in the politicians and helping us. And as you can see right here, every one of those politicians we have had a personal relationship with these individuals. We have attended their meetings. We have went to some of their workshops. So we look at the politicians as someone who is not to just to make the laws, but the ones to help us to implement those laws. And we want to be able to do research and give them so they can be able to change the policy of those laws that will be able to help us, the disadvantaged youth. We even have had an individual, and his name is from, as I was saying, the colleges that we deal with. We deal with University of Richmond and Snappers, who's one of the lawyers there. He just passed the state bar. He is now going to actually help us set up a law shop. So I'm seeing how Sylvia and him can really work together in what wants to be implemented. So again, you see how it all begin to fit in. So I was listen to everything that everybody said. All right, let's go to the next one. Our objectives is, of course, to get funding. That's the reason why I wrote a proposal to the General Assembly for $1.5 million. Of course, everybody says, you know, she is crazy. But you know, I do crazy things. Yes, I believe, because I believe in the power of God. I believe that He will be able to go in the same way I got that other money from George Allen, and then I got money again from another senator. I believe I'll get it again, because we have the people here to make it happen. We have the people here who can be able to write that proposal, carry it in there, and I can see Mr. Samuelson just going in there and handing it to them. And they say, yes, let's do this, right? That's what you spoken, right? I heard you. We also connect and cultivate resources. We also provide measurable resource. We keep statistics on everything that we do. How many participated in the program, how many failed, how many received jobs, how many went to college. We got very good statistics. Don't be very strong. He had to put the whole package together to take it to the General Assembly, right? We also have after-school programs. We learn vocational training and we create jobs. Life coaches, VCU. He is one of the young men that this was happening in Northern Virginia, where he actually came, and as you can see, they're out there cleaning up the community, and they got paid for doing that. The businesses paid them for doing that. Of course, we have life coaches from the university, from trade schools, and from businesses. We also create employment, apprenticeship. We have joined forces with J. Santorinos right across the street. The workforce development, they will be coming in, training all our young people. We have construction workers, construction company, Eric, who will also be helping me to be able to actually set that whole thing up. We have, financial literacy. You already heard what Barry said. You already heard what Mr. Fletcher said. You see, everybody here, you're walking in the destiny with me. You kept us going and moving forward. You helped make it happen. And investment. Remember, I told you we was a nonprofit. We want to be a for-profit because we want to be able to use that. You know that money that Barry will be talking about? We want to turn that into investment. We want to turn it into stock. And we want to get every college student that we're working with, we want them to be able to say, invest. Everybody that come employed, they will learn how to invest. Okay, what I'm doing first. Liberated, set free. Using the law shop for policy making. In other words, we want to show you your system, what you have now, it's not working. We want to give you the statistics because everyone in here who see the problem and providing solutions, we want to be able to show you it is working. What we are doing, it works. Build infrastructure. This is what happened. When I took my package to the General Assembly, that $1.5 million that I was asked for over the next 2 years, a couple of the senators met with me and they told me, and thank you, Eric, thank you for going down there with me. I thank you with him being there, sharing the whole vision and talking about it. I believe it made them see exactly where we were coming from. Because you have to realize the state of Virginia right now is not offering vocational training to our young people when they come out of the juvenile detention center. Are they?
No, ma'am.
Are they? They're not, are they? So when we went and we talked to them, we was going in and we was thinking that, they was saying, give us an answer that day, because they had put together a whole committee. And we went and talked to each one of the ones that was on that committee. And when they saw what was going on, we gave them our results, we gave them our statistics, and we showed them that what we're doing works. So
I was particularly impressed with, I can't recollect the senator's name, what district they were in. It was a conservative, a Republican representative. And when we explained that not only would it divert people out of the prison system, which would save the taxpayer money, reduce the need for the number of prisons and juvenile detention centers, but it would also generate income-earning taxpayers. And this process would not only save money, but generate income as well over time. So they seemed to like the idea that it provided an option that wasn't just liberal or conservative. It was a combination of approaching the problem from both viewpoints of both demographics. So it worked. It works. It's a good idea that simply works. And I see it every day on the job site. These guys come in, you have an attitude, they start building something, they realize that they can do it, it gives them incentive to do it again, they get a paycheck, they show up again the next week, they do it again, they get another larger paycheck, and it just keeps growing. And then they pay taxes back into the system. It's a good idea. It works for the schools, gets the disruptive kids out of the school system who do not want to be there, no matter how hard we try to integrate them. It provides a break for the juvenile system so they can give their attention to other people who are more in need. And it provides a break for the police department because they can then give their attention, instead of to chasing around a bunch of 21-year-olds who are just had nothing to do but cause trouble, they can give their attention to solving real crimes. It works for everyone.
I just want to give you like a little testimony. Some of the young people that actually started with me when I first started in 1995. One young man, and I proudly say that the young man is my son. He, as of May, he will be walking down the aisle getting a PhD in African American Studies from William and Mary University. That's just one degree. He already got another degree from the University of Virginia. He got another degree, a Master of Divinity from the from Virginia Union University. This young man not only have those degrees, but he has experience as being in the military. He was a captain. So as you can see, he is well qualified. He has lived a life. When I started that pipeline to jail to stop it, he helped me stop that pipeline to jail, and he has used it as his studies to get his PhD. He has used those statistics. So he's representing what? The military. He's representing the religion, and he's representing education. And he can be able, as he said, go into the hood and talk their language and bring them out and help them get empowered, employed, and set free. What you're seeing there is a residential home care in which I met this couple, a husband and wife team. And I share with them what I want to do. And they say, Liz, we getting ready to retire. We are retiring. And we want you to have this house. They said, we're not even going to put it on the market. We're not going to put this house on the market because we want you to have it. But he said, not only do we want you to have it, but you know what? He has a construction company right there in the basement. But he also has a landscaping company. He also has a recycling company. He also has, well, we can actually put the finances in there. He also has a personal training going on in there. Everything is all set up. It's all furnished. And he said, Liz, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to after I retire, I'm going to stay on for 6 more months to train the young people to run my construction company. So all I need now is somebody to come in, and we can be able to do what? Hold classes to train the young people in HVAC. He has individual for HVAC, electrician. He has individual in welding. He said, I would teach them blueprint. I would teach them invoice. He said, I would teach them my whole business. And he's been in business for 20 years. So he got quite a clientele. So in other words, he really would be keeping the business going, and we can make the money to actually pay for the house. You see what I'm saying? In other words, these kids will actually be making the money to pay for because they don't have the job, to pay for their own stay in the house.
I have something to contribute to that small thing. I recently had a meeting with a representative of Lowe's Corporation, and they have a program that they are willing to extend over this organization so that the organization can get significantly discounted equipment for the residential training program. The shop equipment, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars out of pocket, unless they're willing to contribute, and they're willing to contribute. So this is a big step forward.
Thank you. Any questions? As I was going through, did you see how each one of you fit in? You was not here by circumstances. You were divinely appointed to be here tonight. Because you see, I've been praying that God would provide a healing to the land. And that's what we need. We need a healing to the land. We don't need to be out backstabbing, stepping on each other, but we need to come together collectively as a unit and provide the kind of justice that Sylvia was talking about. Provide the kind of training that Eric was talking about in construction. And provide the type of training in literacy, in financial literacy, that Barry and Mr. Fletcher was talking about. And then most of all, as Mr. Samerson was saying, it's a whole population. I can see sons and fathers coming together, building businesses under this umbrella, because that's our goal. We want to strengthen the man. We want to be able to provide that man with income, with dignity, not with shackles on their feet, and not with guilt that is constantly being put on their head, oppression and depression. It's time for us who are together and can come together as a unit. And yes, we can start off with it by reaching out to the governor, not backstabbing him or talking about what happened 25 years ago. It doesn't matter. What really matters is what can be done today. Why go back when we can move forward together, providing healing for everybody, using your passion, using your love, and using unity. It's time now for the Republican Party and the Democrat Party to come together, not to fight, not to stab each other in the back, not to talk and worry about issues that shouldn't even be considered. It's taken away from what needs to be done. And you have to realize that's the role of the adversary, the enemy. But right now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it over to Eric, and Eric is sort of going to share the steps on how we can be able to put that proposal together, which is the reason why we're here, put that proposal together to get into the governor's office. Oh, let me tell you, this is what I did. When they told me to get in contact with the governor's office with my proposal that I had submitted to the General Assembly, this is exactly what I told them. I said, I'm sending you this proposal, and this is what I want, but what I also want is I want to be able to have the governor to come in and have a dialogue with my children on how he's going to help us stop that pipeline to jail. And so they said, okay, Liz, we set up an appointment, come on in. So they already know my intention. And like I said, I lay all my cards on the table. I'm transparent. I'm open and I'm honest. I'm not trying to play any games. I'm trying to help our youth. I'm trying to help our community. I'm trying to help I'm tired of our children being killed in the street. And if you look at it, they are being suspended out of school where they're supposed to be getting the education. They're getting suspended. I gave you the statistic. They're being suspended for stupid stuff. And you know who are being suspended for stupid stuff. Because they do not have the advantage. But we want to be able to create. We want to be able to create that advantage for them. And I'm going to have Eric to come up to share that, and then I'm going to share with you the whole outline on the workforce development that we're planning on doing and how I want you to be able to help me do that. Okay?
You guys need a break before I get started? I'll need just a minute. I suppose whatever your specific field is, you're going to have to, if you want to contribute, want to participate in this thing we're trying to build, you'll have to be as pragmatic as possible with what you think is actually going to work. One of the problems that face all the school systems is the pie in the sky dream that we can save every one of these kids. We won't be able to save every single one, but we can save some. And we can get, and it'll benefit, if we can get a few out of every school that are really, for whatever reason, whatever the reason is, their life is disruptive. To the school system, no matter how much they say, they can only do so much. Teachers only have so much time to save the kid. You have only so much time to help the kid. There's only so many hours in the day. You basically, at best, any adult professional working in the school system to try to save these kids, at best, they've got 4 hours to give. Because the other time is spent with everything else they have to do. And it's a horrible truism, but it's true. A lot of kids fall through the cracks. We can't save them all, but we can save a few if they, right before they end up in the worst case scenario, which is heading straight to the prison system. And we all know that once you get convicted of a crime in the United States, your chance of getting a job drops to almost zero, except in the trades, because the trades don't care. We care if you can do the job. And this is an open door for these kids. It's a way back in. Because it doesn't matter if you haven't written a good research paper or if you can't do calculus. It doesn't matter. Because if you can figure out how to run the electrical line, how to fix the plumbing, how to lay the brick, how to fix the roof, then it works for the trades. And the thing is, a lot of the old trades guys are retiring. We do not have enough tradesmen in this country anymore. Because if you remember back in the 80s, where everything was moving for information and towards information technology, that's great. But that can't push a button and fix your house. It's not happening. The housing stock is aging, the roads are aging, the electrical system is aging, the telecommunication system is aging. Everything is getting old, and there are not enough young people to fulfill the job demand. It's shocking to me. I'm always amazed how the community, the school system hasn't realized this yet and opened the doors back to the trade systems, to the trade education. And there was a time when trade schools were always a close component to every school system, be it either medical, some form of home economics course, cosmetology, nursing, even things as simple as like surveying for the construction sites, for the land use purposes. They were all there. Simple testing programs for, like, let's say, phlebotomy programs for, like, the Red Cross. Those are no longer a major component of the school system. And for those kids who learn best by doing, we are no longer serving them as a school system. That's just the way it is. So this provides a way for them to have a meaning, a purpose again. If we can get this going in a way that is pragmatic and actually works at a day-to-day when the rubber meets the road. All theory aside, all good intentions, that's great, but it has to physically function the same way a business has to function. So, if you're interested in participating, then what I would encourage you to do, the same thing as a teacher would do, sit down, figure out how do I get this across in a way that is simple and direct. What sort of information would someone who's going through the system, say a 17 to 25-year-old living in a residential facility, having to go through, let's say, 8 to 10 to 12 hours of training a day, keeping them out of trouble, having them learn how to live, how to function, how to cook, how to run their economics. What sort of education program would they need? How would you implement such a thing? What is necessary to make this move forward? Can you do it in a 2-week course, 12-week course, 16-week? What do they need to move forward? And it's not just like, well, this is a great idea, I'm gonna just say, good job. But someone has to figure this out, because that's what we're all trying to do. Because the residential trades programs that existed in this country 100 years ago are no longer there. Those for sewing or for leatherworking or for machining, where students at a young age would apprentice with a master, live near or with the master tradesperson, and learn the trade. That's gone. It still exists to some degree in the Middle East and Asia, but not here. In Europe, they send kids into trades program. They begin to divert the educational systems when they're in 6th grade. If the kid has a predisposition for this type of thing, then that's where they begin to send them. So by the time they're done at 17 or 18 with high school, they've got some skill that they can market to the world. But we don't have that here anymore. And since the education system is in the United States is, let's be honest, is not that good anymore. We're not #1 by a long shot. Somewhere in the 30s, I think, right now. We are falling behind. And we're just needing this extra component, because the kids who fall behind the fastest are the ones who get into trouble. And so this is a way out for these kids, if we can pull it off. And she said, like that residential facility place she was looking at, that's a great start. It's a huge building. It's got a lower level. That means it's got places for people to live, large kitchens for them to cook, to learn how to manage their lives, and a large facility for trades training. Enough rooms to do the job. But that's not the only facility that could work. There is the Juvenile Detention Center at Beaumont.
Beaumont.
That is an excellent facility. And how wonderful it would be if we can say to the community, you know, instead of a prison, we're going to open a trade school. So that the kids in your community who are having difficulty, instead of running the streets on Friday night, can be over here learning how to weld.
That's it.
Instead. This is a great thing. And I've seen it so many times that you have a kid who's causing trouble. You give them a job to do. That's all they really want, is something to do where they feel useful, a useful member of society. It's an anecdotal experience. So I'm teaching in Africa, and I've got 2 kids, troublemakers. Always in trouble these kids are. So one day, they came into the classroom, and there's paint splattered. They had got themselves those paint guns at paintball game, and they decided that since I did not tolerate their inappropriate behavior, they were gonna teach me a lesson. They vandalized my classroom. And we figured out who it was, and they were gonna be sent to jail. I said, no, give me a chance with these kids. So I had to take them after school every day for the weeks necessary to scrub off the fluorescent paint and repaint the entire classroom. And we stayed until 9 o'clock at night, 3 days a week. And they painted. And afterwards, then we started going down the hallway. Let's paint the hallway too. While you're at it, let's go ahead and scrub this graffiti off the wall outside the building. And let's go pick up this garbage. And within a month, these 2 boys, who had been so disruptive, had done a 180. And now, they were the ones stopping other kids from causing trouble. And we realized it works. It really works to give these kids jobs. Because they weren't great students. They really weren't. They were never going to be engineers or professors or lawyers or doctors, but they could contribute something. And when they realized that the school in some way was their community and that community was being destroyed because of what they were doing, and they could turn that around, they did. And if this program can take kids who are destroying their communities, be it the schools that they're in or their residential communities, the neighborhood they're always causing trouble in, if we could get those kids to see that they could give something back, that the community actually is theirs, then maybe there's some change could occur. And if we could take, say, 10 at a time, it's not that many to start with, do 10, see how it works. Try it for a couple months. Does anything happen? Then we'll try it again. We'll try it again. We'll try a trades program. We'll try the cosmetology. We'll try the hair cutting and see if it works. Yes, sir.
I can place hundreds of automotive technicians tomorrow. I've got 300 automotive clients across the United States and Canada. They are starving for that. So if there were no other trades, that would be one that we could set up a system for that. I promise you. I'm talking $60,000, $80,000 jobs.
That brings up a good point. Here's one of the things that, as a builder, as a business person, I experience. I get these young guys who want to work. They've been in trouble. I said, okay, fine. I'm going to overlook that. Come onto the job site. They have no skills. In order for me to use them at all, I have to stop what I'm doing, take an hour out, and show them exactly what needs to be done, how to do it, what to do if there's a mistake, get them on task, and constantly come back every 15 minutes to check on them. That wastes my time and I lose money. However, if there is a program that can vet them before they come to my job site, or before they go to the barber shop, or to the auto mechanic shop, say, look, this kid has done 12 weeks. They're reasonably competent, they know what the tools are, they know what they need to do. We've checked them out, they're good to go. They haven't caused any trouble for a while, they've got some skills, let's give them a try. The most interesting thing about it is that one of the reasons these kids aren't welcome back into the union programs or the trades training programs is because the ones that are after school at the local, Huguenot High School, for example, is it Armstrong? It's got that after school, Armstrong. Is that these kids are so disruptive.
No, Huguenot.
Huguenot. They're so disruptive. And if you've got a bunch of 28-year-old guys who are going through a certification trades training program to be let's say an electrician's journeyman, they do not have time to deal with a disruptive 18-year-old in the classroom who doesn't want to be there because he doesn't know the value of it. He's there because somebody told him he needed to do this for whatever reason. He doesn't understand. But if we can take the kids and get them to a program and they can see, look, this is what your potential is. This is to vet you so that you are allowed to go into the journeyman program for a trade. And then once you're in that, then you can go into a master's program. This is a big deal. Like, for example, the Amazon Center, I was talking to an electrician buddy yesterday about this very thing. And he said that one of his apprentices, 2 years apprentice program, he just finished it. Then he went on to the master's program, 2 years of training with that. He is now working at one of the Amazon centers. And I said, I'm kind of curious, what does he do there as an electrician at the Amazon Center, the one here in town, the shipping center? And he says, oh, he just walks around with a little computer and an electrical sensor to make sure all the equipment's working every day and everything's fine. I said, really? Well, that doesn't seem like that big of a deal to check the electrical conductivity, the current, the load, everything on the system, make sure everything's fine. It's pretty easy to do. I said, yeah, anybody can learn how to do it in a week or two. I said, really? I said, how much is that kid making that you had? He goes, much more than me. I said, what do you mean? He goes, he's making $48 an hour. He's 25 years old. He was en route for a prison system. Think about the amount of money this kid is contributing back to the system in taxes rather than costing all of us a percentage of our tax money to keep the prison system going. This, if it could work, would be so impressive. It really would. And like you said, auto mechanics. How many of you have gone to the auto mechanic shop and told, we're swamped, we can't see you for 3 weeks because there's not enough auto mechanics out there? Or gone to the barber shop, try to get an appointment, and oh my God, wait 2 weeks? There are just not enough of these people out there anymore. And as the older ones are retiring, we're going to have even less. Yes, sir.
Quick question, while you're talking about going through and vetting all these kids, do you guys also try to find out what it is that interests the kids? Because one of the things about kids in general is that you try to put them in a certain spot so they can do better, and yet they're never going to do better because it's not something that interests them. Well, anywhere from being a mechanic to something to working with wood to working with anything and everything, you gotta give the kids something that they're interested in. If they're interested in it, they're going to excel in it. And one of the things about in kids in general is if they're afraid of something, if they're scared of doing something, they're not going to. They're thinking, I'm not worthy enough, I ain't good enough, I ain't going to be able to do this. When you show them a little something about what they can do, what they like to do, and they'll take it to the ends of the earth.
That's where the kids have to go through a sequence of training. They're not going to stay in the same thing, they would stay for the entire 12 weeks. They couldn't, because that's not the purpose. We're not there to be a trades training, full trade training program. We're there to vet them and give them a taste of it. To say, what is it like to do this? If you've never done it, have you ever welded? Have you ever worked on a car? Have you ever taken apart a washing machine? Let's see how you enjoy it. Have you ever done, to help someone dress themselves, figure out cosmetology? Have you ever taken blood? What is this process like to care for somebody? Have you ever given CPR? Is this something you're interested in? But if you do it in a school system, these kids have already got a place to sleep. They haven't been thrown out of their homes. They've got some stability. But in a residential facility, these kids, they're on their this is their last chance. This is their last hope before they end up in the prison system. And if this thing works, if we could just save a few, give them a chance. Maybe you are interested in medical care. How about looking at J. Sargent Reynolds Community College Nursing Program? And J. Sargent Reynolds to say, hey, is this kid gone through your program? Are they disruptive? Can they make it? Do they show any interest? And say, yeah, they kind of do. There's a workforce learning program.
That's one of the things that we're doing. We are actually working with J. Sargent Reynolds in those areas. We have the same way we're partnering with you. Let me show you this next slide.
Can I
follow that? You go ahead and finish that.
No, I think this is something worth considering, and it's logical. It makes economic sense for the communities. And it's a potential long-term solution. It's not the only solution, but if we can, as I said, save a few, it's a place to start. Thank you. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Any questions right now?
Well, it's not a question, but it's a reply. And that is, in our family restoration network, when we went into the jails, recognizing that these gentlemen probably would have great difficulty getting employed, I happen to market a powerful psychometric assessment to employers use prior to hiring somebody. So I got a donation of $200,000 worth of these things, and so we used them on gentlemen who were, nobody's going to spend that kind of money on these guys. And just as a quick statistic, this is math. This is not this is just mathematics. We measured 24 different traits. One of them is called trait of ambition. We had 62 men at the Richmond City Jail. The average score, when you get enough people in a database, you get regression to the mean, should be an average of 5 or 6. The average score on ambition of 62 men in the Richmond City Jail was a 9 on a 10-point scale of ambition, meaning some of the most achievement-oriented men in Richmond tonight are incarcerated behind bars. So that becomes a gateway for us. We can tap that ambition with programs like this before, of course, it would be great to catch them early, as you're quite astutely saying. But I also recognize we needed to measure skills, because not everybody has some of the wiring to do all the different things. So I found the best skills assessment in America. I asked them to certify me, and they said, well, we don't do that. We only work through job training systems when cities bring us in. And I said, well, I'm not a city, but I need your profile. And they said, well, you're not listening. And I said, no, I don't listen well when people got what my guys need. So they said, okay, we'll certify you. So I've got access now to the finest skills assessment in America, along with the best psychometric things. So for both personality and skills, and I offered Ms. Charity that we could use that for the students or the children in this program. So just wanted to reiterate that.
Thank you.
As well.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your target age for these years?
I guess what,
For
17 to
the
25?
construction part,
Yeah.
it's 17 and a half up to 21. But all the other, what we're providing, like the financing, the mentoring, the mental health, and all that, that is from 11 and up. Okay?
We're just talking about the kids before they get incarcerated or after they come out.
We're talking about both. We want to catch them before and after. We want to have an intervention program and an alternative program.
The reason I ask is because I worked at both now, and once they are 20.5 or 21 years old, they're just cast out.
I know. That's the reason why we want to be able to say that provide that residential for that. And now what I want to do is sort of like show you how we want to not only provide residential, but our goal is like for the Beaumont area, we want that to be that we can actually have like a gated community in which you would, and I actually have some college students that actually draw a whole blueprints.
Well, let me give you some good news. It's already a gated community.
No, we mean it's a flourishing.
Beaumont is a city in itself.
Yes.
It's Beaumont, Virginia, Beaumont Prison.
But it's not there anymore?
It's there.
No, what I'm saying is that they have closed that down.
Can they close it down?
They closed that down. So what they did was they asked for a proposal for repurposing, instead of making it into a prison, to make it into a flourishing community. And that's the reason why they wanted to meet with us, to see the plan that we have all laid out to make it into a flourishing community. Because I even went over to spoke to some of the people in Powhatan. They want that to be, they don't really want it to be a prison.
I'm sure.
They wanted to bring back jobs, and they even said they wanted to be like trade. I talked to a couple of construction guys who had their own company, and they said that they'd be willing to help to come in. And in other words, they really want us to come over and really introduce the whole idea to them. And in that way, by us going in, attaining it, then we can really go over and work with them and implement the whole thing. Which is what I want to show you, how we going, the plan that's sort of like set up and sent to them, and for them to sent to the General Assembly, and that's when they told me to go and meet with the governor's office.
That's great.
You have a question?
Well, yeah, just to kind of piggyback off of the thoughts and the things that was presented just recently in this setting. What I've learned is that he was speaking about interest and the assessments that this man kind of introduced, and from the perspective of the juvenile justice system, there's still some grace period if a child has an IEP, that they can still obtain finances through different resources if it's written inside of their IEP after they are released. So that can be utilized also. But two things is I definitely know that works. and we need to integrate music and sports, and that life skill training with soft skills and hard skills to kind of prepare them and to soften them and to strengthen them in the areas that they're weak. Because just like you said, just recently I completed the introductory course for first level of construction. And it was a course that was actually designed for the people and the youth that you're trying to create this, I would say, movement for. And I took it on as a challenge because I wanted to see what other people were doing. And so I was able to, hands-on, grassroots, see the youth come out of these communities and to participate in a lot of the challenges that you speak about as far as the frustration and stuff like that. It was very apparent, but I feel like if it was some conditioning prior to that with certain skill sets, because it's hard to understand the dynamics when you're coming from so many diverse neighborhoods, homes, education facilities, because one school on one block and 10 blocks over, they are not even on the same academic scale.
Right.
And so if you incorporate also the soft skill training,
You will see that.
such as music.
Can we get to this?
All right.
Thank you.
We're on the track.
Can we just get to this? Thank you, dear. And this is the community workforce development work study internship program. This is
Third one down.
third one down. This is our chart. This is where we say the job development. As you can see, they're releasing. We have what you call the entrepreneur business mentoring, and then we have the residential home. We want that entrepreneur business mentoring. We actually want that to be the Beaumont facility. And this is where you can see that these businesses through Youth Corporation Inc., they are owned and operated by you and you. That means that there are other businesses. In other words, once they have to go through a 5-week program with us as far as mental health, okay? We are working with VCU School in social work, in which we will actually have the youth to actually come in the program in the evening, and before they, I'll get to all that. As you can see right here, this is where I would say need individuals who would like to come on and be on the board. Okay? I need individuals to be on the board, but look down at the bottom. This is where we have college student interns. Right here, we have contact all of these different colleges in which we have students who would be their mental partner. In other words, every youth that we get, they will be partnered up with a business and a college student. We have did this in the past, and it worked awesome. We have seen one young man actually come out. He had been in prison for 10 years. He came out. He now owns his own business, his own barbershop. And of course, he named it after Youth by Reach Services. He called it Youth by Reach Services Linehouse. But we have success stories using this formula, because what we do, we have a youth, we have worked with each one of them, and we call it the Live Change program. Live Change is led, L-I, invented, invest, venture out, and express change. In other words, it's the college student who has said that they have to sign a contract with Youth Corporation Inc. to be able to work with each student. Okay? We also are looking for, as you can see, we also are getting with state and university involved with the mental health component. Businesses, where you said some of them might not want that. They might want to do something else. But we have that business person right there to help lead and guide them to do something else that they might do. So they have a variety. Then we want to get church involvement, spiritual guidance, and they can be able to help purchase the television and radio time. My background is radio and TV. Been doing it for the past 20-some years, and pretty good at that. And we have college students who also will help put it on, help us do that. Right here, our goal through that workforce development is we want to build what we call the community husbands, healthy and united building better societies. Right here at Richmond Henrica, the one that you saw, the residential living, is being partnered up with Virginia Union University students, VCU students, and the University of Richmond. University of Richmond is doing the law shop. Virginia Commonwealth University are working with us in social work and psychology. They're the ones provided we have licensed clinical psychology on staff, in which they will come in and we use music to be able to help. In fact, it's a way that they express themselves. They use that music to let it out. So we have a whole curriculum on that. Right here, we want to start one in Petersburg. That's another low-income area. I'll have a meeting with the president of Virginia State University March the 6th, in which what the college students would do, they would go in each one of those colleges, they would go in the community and work with the schools that have children who are being suspended. Those are the ones that we would like pair them up. As you can see, we're developing a community, right? The other one, Northern Virginia, that's where I did my studies. That is, we have also George Mason, Northern Virginia Community College, and George Washington University. We already have businesses up there who said that they would want to match the money that the state gives. They already wrote a letter of commitment. So you see what I'm saying? Seeing how in each community, we'll be able to go into each community. And what we do is we get to meet and talk with the senators up there as well. We talk with the senators and the delegates. Same thing, Hampton, Norfolk area. Got a contact the other night, right? Right there. we was right on, got a contact right there. Of course, they didn't know what was contacting them for, but guess what? I heard from them already.
Well, did you?
I sure did. And then this is what I asked the college students to do. When we was in Northern Virginia, we actually purchased a piece of property, and we asked the students to draw a community husbands. And they designed all of this. They did this. They did the floor plan. See the jobs that are becoming available? The college student, the blueprint, and they'll be working with what? The construction companies that we have in place. That's jobs being developed. They did the blueprint. As you see, George Mason University, that was the School of Engineering. Right here, This is the entry level. The art gallery. We want the art gallery to actually show the artwork that they did as they was going through point A to point B. We want them to show that artwork because art is so expressive, right? It's a part of their healing. Cosmetology. We want them to get that license. Barbershop. Computer room. And by the way, when the students did the drawing, they actually got academic credit from the school. They earned 3 credits for working with me and setting this all up for the future, as it said. Instead of being a prison, let's build a community hospice. Music room, remember, the music. In fact, what they do is we want them to create their own music and we want them to play their music on the radio too. Because we want them to make, they can maybe say, hey, tune in, you can hear your song of the week. See? That's the bathroom. The paint stick, remember? Part of the healing. The fashion. The executive office. The classrooms. The cafeteria. That's it. Any questions? What you think?
Awesome.
What you think? And I'm just asking you to endorse what we already did. We just got to put it all on.
So that's a question. So on the Beaumont Center, how much renovation would that take to actually use that facility?
That's the beauty part. That's how they begin in there, learning the trade. In other words, we say, give it to us. Hire us to be able to bring that up. In other words, they be getting their training, living at that house, at the residential house, and from J-Sox rentals. And then they can be able to go with the construction. I got 3 construction companies, so they can go with those 3 construction companies and go in and help fix Beaumont.
So how much renovation is necessary for turnkey?
But the only way we will have to go and take a look at it first.
Well, I give you some good news. Everything that you named is already there. You just gotta go in and revamp it.
Really?
They had an auto mechanic, beauty salon, barber shop, masonry.
You got lifts there for all of them?
They have this.
So when you were there as a gardener, right, were you able to see any of those classes being utilized? Or?
I actually worked for the Department of Correctional Education. I wasn't a guard at Beaumont. I was at school, but yeah. I mean, it was a community in of itself. And it's funny that this will come up after it closed down, because we was the first ones pushed out, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, pushed out. They kept all of the academic, math and all that, but every trade was pushed out of it.
So you see what I'm saying? In other words, we're saying we want back, but we don't want it. They have to go to prison to do it.
That's the only place they can get it.
Yes. And in other words, we don't want them to have to go to prison to be able to get these trades. Let them bring this up to par and have their own little incubator businesses in there. Let them be able to be that business owner.
And this is incredible, because this is a 300 bed unit.
300.
300.
300, yeah.
Yes,
Where is it again?
Powhatan.
It's
Well, it's actually Beaumont, Virginia. And it's the only thing in Beaumont, but it's in Powhatan. You know a little bit about it?
well, it's funny because a lot of my clients was on both sides, in the education portion and guarding the facility. And I remember watching the transition, and I'm like, why would they do that?
Right.
You know, and I remember expressing disgust about them removing certain things, but I've watched the education system, period, because that's what I've had to do. And so I remember expressing disgust. So now I'm seeing it. You know how they say certain things happen for the come up.
Right.
And so now I'm looking at it
Right.
from this perspective, because I remember so many people being let go. And I'm like, gosh, this thing is, oh, you were one of them? Wow. And so, you know, and now I had to transition because they were my clients, and I'm like, well, darn, if you let them go, then, you know, you're interrupting my finances also. But in retrospect to the children, that was one of my main concerns. Why are they taking the trades out? And I couldn't understand it. So this makes me really see that all things do work together for the good of those who love God. You know what I mean? Because now it's from a different dynamic. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Where we are empowering,
Awesome.
employing, and liberating. Come on now.
I know this.
So I have another question. So would the state convey the property to your corporation?
That's our goal. That's what we're going in
baby.
to talk to them about. Right? So in other words, what we're saying is, let this be a public-private ownership. Instead of them going in as prisoners, let them go in trade.
Well, if they convey the title to you, it would be a private ownership. But the public part would be the financing for it, or the money to run it?
If, I know Mr. Benjamin is here, if, I don't know if you're going to give him
I do want.
3 minutes to let him talk about
I do
opportunity
want him to
zones.
come, in fact, I want him to come there and talk.
Because with these new opportunity zones, it's a new game
And
altogether.
that's the whole idea. If you read my my information, there's exactly, I don't think y'all even went to look at the information, but y'all are so busy listening to me. But if you read my information, that's exactly what I said. The tax, the tax, I'll be right back. And the college students are doing it as internship, and they getting, what is it called? Credit. You see what I'm saying? But they have the opportunity to also become and get a job at the same time. If that job is right there, they get it first, and so they can be getting double benefits, because they can get a credit, you know. Because when I was putting this whole package together at George Mason University, those students got credit for that presentation, you know? And I'm pretty sure that they are using that presentation now. I can actually go back to them. They can, you know, use that, give it to the construction, and it can actually be built. But they put on as it wasn't for construction unless I come, of course, get the rights from them. What do you think?
I think it's amazing. I think that's something that's needed. And I think we've got a lot of kids out there today that
In other words, we have to let them see that this is appealing. And the way we can make it appealing is actually show, get construction workers to come out, and y'all come and talk to them on the radio talk show, the TV. In other words, that your job is so important, and when they realize how important that job is, it's just as important as playing football, just as important as playing, even more so, basketball and all the other sports.
Is there anything more important than football?
This might be our,
I laugh because I was talking to one of my college students this past week, and I said, so what you want to do? He said, play football. I said, but that would be a little while. So what you going to do for a short-term goal? What else do you like? He said, personal training. I said, awesome. Let's go and find out some information about personal training. And he found out that within 3 to 4 months, he could have his certificate as a personal trainer. I said, do you think that we can maybe get started on that? He said, yes. So you see what I'm saying? It's just a way that you approach it, give it to him. So he said, I'm going to check into that. I said, yeah, because you can get it working within 3 to 4 months and still play football. But you can become a personal trainer. You know?
I think that's one of the problems with a lot of disruptive kids, from my experience. I recollect them often, when I ask them, it's like, what's the plan? What are you planning on doing with this? You're failing almost every one of your courses. What are you planning on doing when you graduate from high school, if you graduate? And they're like, oh, I'm going to be a rock star, I'm going to be a rapper, I'm going to be a sports hero, supermodel, whatever it is that they chose. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, statistically, if you look at the chance of that, and I would say this to the students who are the art students too, I said, if you look at your chance of making it, you would have a better chance of being struck by lightning and a meteorite at the same time. So if you can hedge your bets and say, okay, let's, instead of being, a sports star, try for something and a sports star.
Yeah.
Have a backup plan. Mm-hmm. And if you can be an engineer and make $120,000 a year, that's not so bad, because sports will always be there. And you can do both.
And we definitely need to teach them about finances. That's one thing our young people do not know about finance. And I will be quite honest, and I'll put it blunt, our black young people does not know about finances. They don't know about investing.
Their parents didn't.
That's right. So we have to go in and teach the parents and the child. What about investing? That's the reason why I changed from a nonprofit to a for-profit. Because I have already, we don't work our butt off to try to raise money to keep these programs going. So let's now try to provide a way that you can be able to invest in yourself, because you're worth investing in. There's more to it than getting a job at McDonald's. I'm sort of like, or either you start there but go up. My son, he's now 35, but at the age of 15, he went and he said, I'm going to get a job at McDonald's. And he did. He went and got his job at McDonald's. And he happened to work up to be a manager. And then he said, I don't want to do this no more. I said, okay, what you want to do now? He went and got a job, guess what? With a bank. He became a bank teller. Why? Because I worked at the bank and I had some pools, so I put him in the bank. So he worked in the bank. Then he went from working at the bank, then he went to school. He went to UVA. And then that's where he became an administrator. And at UVA, he actually was, or he had to give account of all of the doctors. He worked at the hospital, UVA hospital. And he actually was, as he's called it, the coordinator. And he was the one that made the decision of whether that doctor get hired or whether they fired. He went from there. That's showing you how he's climbing the ladder now. He went from there. As I say, in the meantime, he was the captain. He done wrote a couple of journals in hip-hop music. He done got a master's degree. But it all started as a little child. He was there when I got my first grant. He was the one that said, Mama, we're going to run this program at 12 years old. So I said, boy, if I can do that with my son, check all those other young men I can reach. And I've been having fun. I've been honest with you. I've been seeing lives change like that. And that's what drives me. That's what pushes me. Sometimes I don't have no money, but it's what pushes me. Because I see a life that changes like that. And then we can can get a whole community change. Oh my God. Girl, do you feel it? Do you see where I'm coming from? Sometimes, what you doing? You just need somebody with influence that can write a letter. That's how my son got in UVA. I met Mr. Buford Scott. Well, Scott is straightforward. I told you I like TV shows, right? So I said, Mr. Buford Scott, will you come and be on my TV show? And I want my son to interview you. He said, yeah, why don't I? Yeah, I said, I'll do that. And he interviewed, and he was so impressed with him. So he asked him, what school you want to go to? He said, UVA. He said, oh, that's my alma mater. He said, you need a letter? Yes. His counselor had just told him, poor as you are, and this is exactly what she said, poor as you are, you come from a single parent, you ain't going to no UVA. My son looked at him and looked at her and said, watch. Like I said, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Speaking of that, we'll meet with the governor next week, aren't we?
I'm sitting in a room full of powerful men and women, and I just need y'all to help me put this proposal together and watch us move.
Well, Elizabeth, how would you like to lay the proposal out?
I want Russia speaker first. I need him to come and speak, then we go from there. You got this. Go ahead, introduce yourself. And because I can't do you justice.
Look, to God be all the glory, and we just give honor to the Lord, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Got a little emergency going on, but I got some people helping me out. God is good. We, Elizabeth, I met her, it's been more than about 3 years or so, but she's always been working with the youth and with the community and with the media. And she told me about what was going on, and it just so happens that right now, and again, I'm Bishop Benjamin, a pastor, first name is Leon, a pastor of New Life Harvest Church in Richmond, Virginia. We are now, our building is now over in the East End off Laverna. We have a daycare on the south side, so we have a youth program, phone after school program, and we look like we're probably going to open up another one in the East End. I'm also working with the administration, with the White House, and we work with the minority outreach. We're also working with the criminal justice reform, with the First Step Act that just came out. A bipartisan, by the way, Republican and Democrat, bipartisan bill that came out to begin to start with the federal bureaus, federal prisoners, and releasing returning citizens back into society, and it's already started happening already. The First Step Act also has some things in there dealing with recidivism reduction programs, which are programs that they need now to be able to treat returning citizens and those that are coming out in such a way where they're being prepped to go back into society. So it's a whole lot of room there for help and different programs. There's a lot of money now that's been put out there, about $100 million, in being able to invest back into the community through what is known now as opportunity zones. We've heard these before, hub zones, empowerment zones, different names for it through different administrations. But the opportunity zones are now afforded us to collaborate and partner with the community, with businesses, with, of course, legislators. That means the governor, mayor. We're working with the mayoral conference of mayors. This is an opportunity that it's like a win-win scenario where businesses can come back, and I'm working with Pastor Darrell Scott. He has been put in charge through HUD with Dr. Ben Carson to deal with what is called urban revitalization. So we know urban, and we're not trying to get into colors because it's just one race, human race. But we know when we deal with the urban community, it's mostly African American. But it's not just African American in the urban communities. But the focus is to make sure we go into those, what we say sometimes, underserved areas where, the education, the jobs, and the crime, and all of that, housing, it needs revitalization. The point is that we're just trying to get businesses, because yes, businesses are going to be attracted to this, but it's a 10-year track. So it's not just go in there and get out and get your money. They have to be willing to put their money into a project for 10 years so they can save somewhere around 15% on their capital gains. So it has to be a shovel-ready, but it just has to be a project that makes sense. And we're talking about, the numbers that we're talking about is 100 million to 500 million. So investments lower than that. There are other things that we can do, grants and other things that we can point people towards as far as getting capital investment or seed money and so forth to do their programs. But these are large investors. Places like New York, Los Angeles, California, Texas, Florida, of course right here, Virginia. These are opportunities, we're opportunity zones we're working with Treasury, so the IRS, so this is not no secret. You can go right on irs.gov, Treasury, and you'll see the bill and the opportunity zones and those places. It's crazy because a lot of areas that we think is not opportunity zones is, especially around HBCUs, historic black colleges. Some historic black colleges are opportunity zones within itself. So we have an opportunity to integrate revitalization with urban renewal. We have an opportunity to change the mindsets of individuals with the criminal justice reform. Of course, that's First Step Act is what it is, first step. So we know it's going to be the second, third, but we're starting with the federal bureaus first before it hits the state and the local, DOCs, Department of Corrections and other areas. But what it does is it opens up opportunity now for us to kind of focus in what we want. We're not trying to come to areas and tell them what we're going to do. We want to know what you want. And then that's how we can help. So we're not coming in any area. I got a call from Atlanta, from Georgia. It's plenty of work to do. But we want to know what you want so that we can galvanize our resources. Now this thing is called, in opportunity zones, it's called an opportunity fund. A lot of buzz is going out about what is an opportunity fund or a QOF or a qualified fund. We can show you how to do that. It's not mystical or mystic that, only for the big guys, to get the funds. Anyone can put a fund together. That's the first thing. So it doesn't have to be one of those things where only the big investors get involved. Anybody can put a QOF together, qualified fund, manage the resources, and follow the regulations that Treasury puts out, and work their project in their particular area. So, yes.
Man, the question, when you talk about anyone can put a fund together, how is the fund put together in terms of what kind of proposal?
Right. There's certain things.
Is there an application process or
regulations? It's basically a business. The fund is where the investment is put in. Certain regulations, like for example, 180 days, it has to be put in, and it can only sit there for 180 days, and then it has to go into the project. So there are things where the regulations stipulate so that, no one's just having their money just sitting and getting return on, getting an ROI and haven't even did anything. So there's certain regulations that manage a QOF to make sure that the money is going into a viable project. Okay, now, and we're talking about 10 years, so there's regulations saying if you put it in there for 3 years and pull it out, then you get penalized. So there are different things that go with it.
Since you work with these guys, what is considered a viable project for them?
Well, that's the thing. Investors, from an investor savvy mindset, investors know what a good project is, because we're talking about getting them to buy in or trusting us or trusting that fund to take their capital profit from maybe a sale of a business or whatever, and to put it in for 10 years. So you gotta understand, they're not just gonna put their money in
without a guarantee.
Without a guarantee, because they want a return on their investment.
But can I ask one question? I mean, I'm not going to be the devil's advocate, but that opportunity zone is no more than a tax credit for the investor. There's no money coming from the federal government for those programs.
Right, that's
all the money is the investor has to come into the community and invest. He get a credit on that money. So if we don't have the money to start with to go in the program, who's going to invest in us to have that done and expect a return in 10 years?
Well, this is the exciting thing, because there's some directories out there right now. There's almost about 83 or so funds already put together. And people want to put their money somewhere, and they're looking for funds that they can put their money in. So that's the cool thing about it. The buzz is getting out. I mean, this just got signed last year. Regulations came out in December. So, the buzz is getting like, oh, hey, what, so there is gaining traction and momentum. But the thing is Eric Samuelson, we have calls every Monday. You all are welcome to get on the calls that we have with the criminal justice reform and opportunity zones. Every Monday, anybody can get on and get connected. That's one thing that we're doing right now, since it's so fresh and so new, so people can get information, galvanize. I'm the state director for Virginia. I'm not the only one, because Virginia is big. So there are North Virginia, other areas that we're working. But the goal is to begin to galvanize. We have like a 4-step process: galvanize, energize, and then mobilize, and then implement. But we want to make sure that people are getting the information and understanding. We don't want to make it a mystery of what a qualified fund is.
Can I ask a question? I was trying to be polite.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
My question is, would you be, is there perhaps a workshop or training? Because I'd like to think I'm an educated guy, but I'm on those calls, and there's kind of an assumption that you kind of know something inherent, and I may have missed some of a couple early calls where maybe it was like that.
Yeah,
So
that's what we're doing right now. Matter of fact, we're setting up something for Pastor Darrell Scott and Karina to come to Virginia.
So we're gonna wait on them?
No, we're not waiting on them, but
I would love to hear from you if you put together a 2-hour workshop.
Well, this is what we're doing right now, so that we're getting people together. We're going to set up a date, and we're going to have the training. I'll have some of my team come, so just like in something like this, you can ask questions. Because I'm not the expert in some things. I have people that I refer to, so that I make sure, especially with the regulations, with the QOF and all of that, there's certain things that you just have to know, because you're managing.
So you mentioned 100 million, let's just use that number. Does that come in Virginia? That's because there's billions going nationwide. That 100 million you mentioned, is that a Virginia number?
No, that's
investors' money.
That's across the board.
Across what territory is my question?
No, it doesn't matter what territory. I'm giving an example. I'm just saying that 100 million, 500 million, around those numbers. I mean, it could be in the billions.
Kareem has used 500 million, he's used 3 billion, I've heard these numbers. My
Yeah.
question is, the governor in Virginia has set up some opportunity zones, he's mapped it out.
Right, there's a map.
Okay, thank you. Let's just pick a thing, let's just say the east end of Richmond is somewhere an opportunity zone.
Yes.
Good, so we're making progress. So we got an investor on Wall Street that says, hey, I'm gonna kick in 5 million, I care about Virginia, I'm gonna kick 5 million in. Now, if I'm correct, he's hunting for projects that make sense in the east end of Richmond. Is that good so far?
That's a possibility, right? He could be in another area, a different state,
Right.
somewhere else, because you don't have to live in the state
Right.
in order
So
to
he's-
participate in
If
it.
he sees somehow there's a proposal, there's a project in the east end of Richmond that perhaps you and a team, or you and me, or somebody put together, anyway, I like that. Okay? My question, I'm just getting down to the operations here. How does he know about our ideas in order for him to say, yes, I'm putting in $4 million to fund what these guys want to do? That's what I'm lost on how to do that.
Right. The actual
Yeah.
project,
That's
the
what I'm saying.
the
I feel like
projects.
a workshop, a little education, because I want to be a player. Okay, I want to be a player. I got stuff.
Absolutely.
I want to be about my father's business. You guys know,
Absolutely.
This lady right here has got magnificent.
Well, that's why I'm here. And like I said, I was sharing here also about what we're doing with the criminal justice reform as far as recidivism, a program. I don't know if you were there at VCA, but I showed about the blueprint, and it's basically a program that can sort of qualify or score the returning citizen to make sure that they are doing the things that they're supposed to be doing in order to be, say, someone who is now productive in society. It's one of those things where with the criminal justice reform, we know recidivism is the biggest problem, because they come out and if they're not connected to the right things, they're more than likely going to go back in. So that's just one particular end, of the spectrum. But when it comes to the opportunity zones, we know that we're talking about other things, workforce development, job creations, spiritual. I heard you got all the pieces.
I got all the pieces.
Yeah. So I don't want to repeat what she's saying. I don't want to repeat what she's
So when do we get
saying.
together to get this money?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, as state director, I'm so glad, my gosh, to get to know this lead state director, Kareem, and Pastor Scott's when the work they're putting together, it's very inspirational. So I'll be your best student, okay? So I'm saying teach me.
Yeah.
You with me?
we will go.
Absolutely.
So get us, because, I want to be able to know so I can help this woman and these fine people here.
I want,
I'm
And
sorry.
I love everything I've heard tonight. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, there's
It's
plenty of
awesome.
ideas. So where do we go?
where do we
And
go?
I'm
here?
looking to you, so I don't have to go to the other 83 funds, I'm looking to you because I know you. And I'm saying, would you be good enough to educate me and us? And if I say
Amen.
me, I'll
I
Amen.
think all of us will be interested.
be, well, amen, but none of us.
Raise your hand, y'all.
None of us wants to be involved in the financial level, I don't think. I've heard some great skills here that are just different. I feel like my contribution here could be in this
Financial.
way, is what I'm trying to say.
Financial.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I
That's
think that, and again, just as we learned their different skills, the man was talking about, he's the expert on teaching these young guys trades. I'm not. I'm ignorant about that, but I'm admiring that he does that. So I'm saying, let me lift the burden for you on this thing and for other things that I want to get done. And so, but I kind of have a hunger here, so I'm saying, so
Yes.
can you feed me?
Yeah.
Me too.
well, that's why I came, and I am excited.
I want to be new best friends, okay? You and I.
We're friends.
We are.
Okay.
Pretty much, he's asking you, when are you and Pastor Darrell Scott going to put this together
Well-
so that we can understand
well,
exactly?
Yeah, my job is to galvanize. So you'll get a notice if I get everybody's information, or you'll have everybody's information. And I can send out a notice when we're going to have actually a Virginia gathering. But also, I'll send out the notice where you can start getting on the calls, because those calls are informative, because it kind of gives like a guideline to what expectations, because it is fresh, it is brand new, what we're doing. Even though people have heard about, hub zones and all those programs still going on, by the way. It's just that this one is the new kid on the block. And so that's why everybody's kind of like excited, because this is the new guy on the block, and let's see what we can do with this, so.
Do you have any anecdotal stories in regards to it? An example you could give us?
Well, that's what we're working on right now. There's a particular project that we're getting ready to look at right now to see if it's what we call a shovel-ready or a viable project. So we're kind of in the workings, but Kareem has talked about some areas, what they are doing in Florida and also in Connecticut, and I can get some clarity as far as what has happened there since this has started on the onset, and what people are doing in their particular states to say, we want urban renewal, we want urban revitalization, and we don't want to be afraid. What we preference, black or urban? Which one? Well, no. We don't want to get into that. We know that in the urban community, it's mostly African American, but it's not just African American. We got Latino, we got white, so we want to make sure that we're going in and leaving a stamp as far as revitalization. And against, as far as African Americans, they we know that 12% of the population here, 45 million, still larger than Canada, but 45 million, but we know the statistics as far as incarceration and all those things. Seems like we're high up on that.
These regulations have been out for 2 months, right?
Since December.
So to answer Eric's question, this is so brand new. There are no anecdotes to speak
maybe
of.
around
I never even heard of it.
Okay, yeah, no,
It
got pushed through. President Trump did a good job getting this done.
Yeah.
So it's but
Corey,
now it's
matter of fact,
has massive
Senator Cory Booker,
because the big boys, the Wall Street boys now are saying,
So-
you get me 15% savings on my capital gains.
Bingo.
Because that's where the money comes from.
That's what I said.
It's not government money with all that stupid regulation.
That's what I'm saying.
This is private capital.
And if you give me the money, I'm calling the shots. Because it's your money.
Oh, right. Well, that's why I want to get, just before we answer that, I want to kind of get.
and again, all these, like I said, what we're doing now, if you get on the calls, you're going to see that we're making sure that we're clearly defining what a QUAF is or qualified fund is, what is an opportunity zone, what is urban revitalization, what are we talking about here, and what the focus is as far as the team that I'm working with. Because anybody, when I say anybody can put a fund together, their focus might not be urban revitalization. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm just saying from where we are, what we're doing, our focus is urban revitalization, so that we can be very clear about that. But anybody can put a fund together, and participate in the opportunity zone.
Okay. Maybe instead of waiting for Darryl Scott to come to town, perhaps, because Primo.
No, we're not waiting. No, we're not waiting. We're not waiting. I mean, that's the reason why I'm here. We're not waiting. It's just that we want to make sure that we're organized properly, so that we're not steering people.
Right, but we got to be educated before we can organize properly. You got to put the cart before the horse. So if Kareem, who seems very knowledgeable on those calls, is he at the Treasury Department?
Well, I had Kareem do a special call just for Virginia, just for this area, and he did that about a week ago for me. I will have those type of calls, just the calls, but as far as bringing them here, because we're doing what is called a tour, and they're touring not just all across the United States, but they're going to certain places where they know.
I missed that call. I don't know how I missed that.
Yeah.
But did you tape it?
No, we did not.
All right, but if he could do something where it was like on a video con, and we could look at, and he could actually not just talk to us, but open up the floor.
What he did open up the floor for questions.
Okay, amen.
So people were there, asking questions on the call, so we open up for questions, and that's the kind of call we want to have.
Yeah, that would be great if you could do. Is that a plan to do that again?
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Can you provide us with the number and how do we?
Yes, I will email
I have the number.
the number for because it's every Monday at 12 o'clock p.m.
I have it.
Make sure you guys sign the roster out front so we'll have a record of it. And put your email address and your best contact number.
Yeah, I have everybody email in here, so I can be able to email that number and everything. I can be able to email it directly to you. I will do it tomorrow, so that you can get all of the information, okay? I think I've already sent it to you.
But it's the calls are every Monday at 12 p.m.
And
Same
already
time as
sent- I
they
think I already
say
sent it
something
to you.
different.
Yeah, so I can be able to send it to you. I said, yeah, if you want.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I want to answer, how soon are we going to be able to make some moves as far as getting educated or anything? I mean, within a
No,
month?
we're planning now. No, we're planning now for the month of March. I know I have a
Okay.
week. I'm going to be in Washington D.C. for an entire week, probably about another week or so. But we're going to plan something for this month so that we can start to do the steps.
In March.
Because we want to start the steps, start the ball rolling, even those different states, because they're working across the United States. It's just that Virginia, they set up directors. They don't even have directors in every state yet. But they appointed me as a state director here, and maybe a couple other states, maybe Florida and
What about the
Connecticut.
state of Maryland?
I don't think Maryland is their director there yet. So you can see how we're moving methodically, but the endeavor is to cover the whole United States.
Okay.
So your call is primary for Virginia?
Yes.
Well,
Yes, even though I have
the
other
Monday
states.
calls national.
It's what?
The Monday calls are national.
The monthly call is, every Monday is national. So people from all over are on that call.
Okay.
From all across the nation is on that
Okay,
call.
thank you. Because I'm from the state of Maryland.
Okay.
So if you're looking for a Maryland director, I nominate her.
Can't make any promises. We're
All right.
definitely excited about it.
All right. So you like what you see tonight, right?
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
All right. So we're gonna move forward on that. Y'all heard it, right?
He's on tape.
I'm excited. It's on tape. Mike's always hot. Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah, I am. Thanks for having us.
All right. Any
Well,
more
good.
questions?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
All right.
And I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Oh my God. Y'all don't know how happy y'all made me. Y'all made my day. Y'all really did.
Go ahead.
You want to come up? You want to come up?
What do you want to do? Well, before everybody decides to leave, I just want to thank everybody for coming out.
Okay.
When I met Elizabeth, it was by happenstance. Our focus here at Premier Financial Group is financial literacy. We are business owners, we are entrepreneurs. We are a marketing company, and what marketers do is deliver information. So the information that we intend to deliver is financial literacy information. And we just opening this office here in Richmond. So we want to invite you guys to come back to see exactly what we do. We're going to be holding workshops in relationship to what she's doing, in relationship to what Fletcher and I do on a personal level, because we have our own brand, we have our own deal, okay? We just use this as a vehicle, okay? So we're entrepreneurs, and we deliver information to people so they can make better financial choices. Financial literacy is something that's not taught in school. Even though it's mandated in school, it's not taught in school. So somebody has to carry that torch. And companies like Premier Financial Group and other companies around the city are in financial world, but they don't teach. they preach. We not only teach, but we empower. We empower people to understand what money can do for them, which will keep them from stealing somebody else's, which will keep them from robbing, which will keep them out of the system, out of the pipeline. And when people go in the pipeline, they have to come out sometime. And if they don't know what to do, they go right back for the same reason they went in. But even those people that aren't in the pipeline, those of us that are spirited and we get higher education and we have our own businesses, right? We have to be prepared for that. And money is at the basis of what we do. Let's not get it twisted. We're here to make a profit as business owners. But if you don't know what to do with that money, somebody's going to take it from you. The reason those investors are putting that money up, those billions of dollars, is because they're looking to save money. They're looking to get an investment back on their money. They're basically getting a guaranteed rate of return just by investing. So what we teach on an individual level is how to be that type of person with only a few $1,000s or a couple of dollars. Doesn't matter how much money you have to protect it and you have to make it work for you. So our focus is to teach them the basic concepts of money and financial literacy and stewardship. It's taught in the Bible, but we don't know what it is.
Exactly.
It's taught in the Bible about prosperity. What are we supposed to do? We're supposed to guard our stores and multiply. But we're taught to be consumers and spend it all. So we're a marketing company. We teach financial literacy. And we teach leadership skills. If you look it out with an open mind and a dream and a brand desire, you can achieve anything. But you have to want to lead somebody to do something. Thank you, Liz, for being a leader.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for seeing something in me that says, hey, Barry, you have something to give. And I'm willing to give. And Fletcher sees something that we can give. And we open this doors up for you guys to come in tonight so that we can share with you what we do. But it's a long night, and we only share just a little bit. But we're going to do another event. And I want to invite everybody back so you can see the information that we're going to deliver.
What does next Saturday look like to y'all? Because that way we can actually do the...
Well, what we do is we do our own trainings on Sundays at 5 p.m. and we do Tuesdays at 7 p.m. just to try to make it easy for everybody.
What's the cost of that program to participate in it?
It's absolutely free to come and participate, but if you wanted to join in our organization, it's a $125 payment just to come in and learn. That we teach people how to where to put the money, how the money's going to work for them, how to, if they wanted to get into the financial industry, how to make extra income on the side. I mean, what we do is we just teach people how to make extra money and how to make their money work for them.
Thank you.
It's all about what's your next move? What's your next level in life? As a business owner, if you can't work, you're done. But as an entrepreneur, you have multiple streams of income. So whether you work or not, you get income. So we teach the basic principles of entrepreneurship. If you don't have that in your back pocket, you're destined to fail. It's just as simple as that. Because corporate America doesn't care about anybody. Nobody. They care about their own pocket.
Dominion.
They care more about your money than you care about your own. Okay? And our young folks are just missing the boat because their parents missed the boat. And their parents missed the boat. And their parents missed the boat. And somebody's got to raise the tide.
You have a question back there?
Yeah, small question. I'm a community liaison at a local PTA over South Side. Do you all do your thing mobile? Can we invite you?
It doesn't matter to us. You know, you ask how much does it cost? What we do is absolutely doesn't cost you anything. That's what we do that's so unique about what we about the financial services industry. They want to charge you for everything. They want to charge you to brainwash you. Tell you what they want you to know. We tell you what you need to know. You get to make the decision.
So we may see the value in it.
So you see the value in it. You know, if I give you one side of the story, that's all you know, right? Well, you've been doing that for 400 years.
Indeed.
You know, for 400 years, we've been getting one side of the story. Whether you're white, black, purple, green, it doesn't matter. You're getting one side of the story. But when you find somebody that's willing to embrace you and give you what you need, as opposed to giving you what I want you to have, well, you got something special there.
It is special.
You got something really special there. And that's what I bring, something special, because I found a platform that gave me the how to deliver the information at an 8th grade level that people go to school 4, 5, 6 years to work on Wall Street to learn. We just give it to you right now, just like that. So if you want to go be a financier, all you need to do is know basic math.
So you say you on Sunday?
On Sundays and Tuesdays, yeah.
So what time on Sunday?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Tuesdays at 7 o'clock.
You know,
So you get a card?
yes, I'll call you before you leave here. Let me give you my card. But most definitely, come back so you can see what we do as a company, number one. And this young lady right here, you used the word, your perfect word, solution-oriented. We're solution-oriented. This is the problem in America today. If you can't work, you can't earn income. If you don't have income, you'll never be able to retire. And if you get sick, how are you going to live? And if you can live, who's going to protect your family while you're gone? If you don't understand these 4 principles, you're done. You got insurance on your car, but you don't insure your family.
Great.
What is that all
You have
about?
insurance on your cell phone, I promise, and you don't
Promise.
insure your family.
So anyway, I can get on my horse and go all night, but that's where we come in, and we're going to invite you back.
So relax.
I'd like you to